Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. This one is transfer plans, where we have a look at how I got on in game week 7 and we'll have a look at how I'm lined up for game week 8 and what my future transfer plans are. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so starting off with game week 7 now, as you can see, 67 points. Now that basically meant that it was a pretty grey arrow from 1.9 million to about 1.9 million again. Nothing really to write home about. Score-wise, Raya came away with 6, Gabriel with 9. The Arsenal defence doing exactly what I wanted it to do, doing exactly what I thought it would do when I got double defence on wildcard. Double defence kind of looks like the play now. We'll talk about Gyökeres and Saka in a minute, but yeah, Raya and Gabriel looks like a very nice double up, and I'm happy that I went with them on wildcard. The other defenders, again, I'm actually very happy with who I went with on wildcard. So I went Senesi. He obviously didn't hit the defensive contributions this week, but he's hit it every single other week. So very happy I've got him. I went with Richards. He did hit the defensive contribution threshold. Again, Crystal Palace looked great defensively. They didn't win this weekend. Obviously, Everton got the W, but I'm quite happy with Richards. I'm quite happy that I went with him over the more expensive options as well. Munoz is great, don't get me wrong, but I'm happy I didn't go for Guehi. I'm happy I didn't go for Lacroix. Mukiele on the bench. Again, another defensive contribution threshold hit for him. Really happy I've got him. And Anderson, again, another defensive contribution threshold hit. Gabriel actually hit it as well. That's 2 weeks in a row for him. So 4 out of 5 of my defenders hit the defensive contribution threshold. And the one that didn't was Senesi, who was the one that's probably the most likely to hit it. So I'm really happy with who I've got in my defence at the moment. Munoz is the one that I probably would want. He just is fantastic. His attacking numbers are a joke. Obviously, he scored a goal this week, but yeah, he is just ridiculously good. Onto the midfield now, not a lot really going on. Reinders, Fernandes, Foden. Reinders and Foden were really good in this game, especially in the first half. They were actually brilliant. Foden could and should have scored or got an attacking return in the first half, to be honest. He looked really dangerous. He got into a lot of good shooting positions. Reinders, less so, although he did have one massive chance that Keller has saved, and it was actually a really, really good save. So these two are probably going nowhere. We'll talk about it when it comes to my Game Week 8 team, but kind of happy with them. Fernandes is one that obviously blanked. Again, he was one defensive contribution off of the threshold, same as last week. He is really dodging points pretty successfully at the moment. Last week he missed a penalty. This week, again, he just missed the defensive contribution threshold, but I just don't really think there's anyone else I would go to from him. I mean, the only other midfielder I'd maybe want here is Sarr, and I'm not that fussed about moving him to Sarr, to be honest, especially given the fixtures aren't unbelievable for Palace. So I just don't really... Yes, I could sell him. I do think he is a bit expensive at 9 million, but I'm not sure who else there is to go to that's going to actually be better than him at that price. That's my only issue. Then Semenyo just doing what Semenyo does. How much of a joke has this guy been this season? He is unbelievable. Absolute talisman for his team. Really happy I've got him. Then the front line. So Haaland captain. Again, the first half, he was... I mean, the whole game, he's just never involved, but it doesn't even matter. He gets one chance, bags it, and picks up an 8-pointer. So you can't really go against him at the moment. He's just in unbelievable form, and the fixtures aren't bad either. They're not as good as they have been the last couple, but they're still pretty good. João Pedro and Gyökeres, not ideal. Gyökeres, obviously Saka took the penalty. I am not too sure that means that Saka's just going to take penalties going forward. I think we might see it split a little bit, which makes it a bit murky. If I was on wildcard right now, I'd have Saka instead of Gyökeres, but I don't personally think that Gyökeres is enough of a problem to make a double move to Saka. I think Gyökeres still will do well. He put up a decent amount of XG against West Ham. He looked pretty threatening. He did have chances. So I think even if penalties are split between them, I'm kind of fine with just riding Gyökeres out rather than switching to Saka. João Pedro, bit of a disappointing one really. I mean, I thought this fixture would be quite good. It turns out it was. Chelsea did win. Chelsea did score 2 goals. With so many players out, it just doesn't... Playing at number 9 isn't his best position. He needs a striker to play ahead of him, and he play as a number 10. That's just not going to happen for a few weeks at least. So it's not ideal, but the fixtures are good, so I will be keeping him. I'll talk about him a little bit more when we get to my Game Week 8 team. But yeah, 67 points. Let's get to the Game Week 8 team now. Okay, so as you can see, I have 0.3 million in the bank. I've got 2 free transfers. There's actually a bit of a discussion to be had among the goalkeeper situation this week. There usually isn't, because it's Raya every single week in goal. And it probably is Raya again, to be honest. The Fulham attack really doesn't look that great. They don't have Jimenez, or they may have Jimenez, but he was out this weekend. They don't have Muniz. The attack hasn't looked great. I'm pretty fine with playing him. There just is a conversation because obviously Dubravka actually has a good fixture for once, Leeds at home, but even in that, I say that, Leeds attack isn't bad. I will always back Arsenal defence over the Burnley defence, of course, which is the worst in the league. Then onto the defenders. Again, this is one where, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that on wildcard and anytime I change my team around significantly, I always plan out my defenders for a good few weeks. This is a week where I knew that Anderson had a tough fixture. He plays Arsenal at home. I knew that Richards has a relatively tough fixture with Bournemouth at home. I wouldn't have hated having to play him in this game, to be honest, but I do have Semenyo in my team, so if I don't have to play him, then ideal. And I knew that the fifth defender, if they had a good fixture this week, that would be ideal so that I didn't have to play Richards. That's why I went with Mukiele, although having said that, Leeds or Burnley defenders could have worked here as well, given that Leeds and Burnley are playing each other. However, I went with Mukiele. He's got Wolves at home. I am pretty happy with him. He seems to be very good for defensive contributions still, and he and Sunderland in general are a massive threat from set pieces. So yeah, happy with that. Gabriel obviously has Fulham away as well. Happy with that defensive double up. I don't think that the Fulham attack is looking good. And then Senesi has Crystal Palace away. This isn't an ideal fixture, don't get me wrong. And there is a world where I could actually play Richards ahead of Senesi. But as you'll have seen, I've got Semenyo. I don't currently have any Palace attackers, so it just makes sense to play Senesi over Richards in this one. Onto the midfield, I've obviously, as I just mentioned, got Semenyo, Crystal Palace away. Not the best fixture. Crystal Palace defence is good, but Semenyo is just a joke at the moment. We cannot be benching him in any game. He is fixture proof, as we saw against Liverpool in the first game week. So I'll be playing him. Bruno Fernandes, Liverpool away. On paper, that's not the best fixture, but I think Liverpool really don't look good at the moment. Don't get me wrong, Man United don't look good, and they haven't looked good for a long time. Man United are bad. Bruno's playing pretty deep, and he has missed 2 penalties, so there's some doubt whether he's going to take the next one. I still think he will personally, but Bruno Fernandes isn't really doing what he should be doing at the moment. However, like I mentioned earlier, I don't really see where I would go if I sold him. The only midfielder I think like is Sarr. Again, correct me if there's better midfielders out there that I could be going to here. I can't go Saka, so we can ignore Saka because I've got Gabriel, Raya and Gyökeres. Like I say, Sarr is great. Minte is pretty good as well, but there's not a world at the moment where there's loads of performing midfielders. I mean, one player that I would have liked to have gone to is Palmer. Palmer's not fit. They've got really good fixtures coming up. There's just not these kind of mid-priced or even expensive midfielders that are available and doing it at the moment. I mean, Gordon is there, I guess. I don't love his minutes. He came off quite early, and I'm not even that sure he'll play the next game. I just think there is a chance he gets benched or comes off early again, so I don't love that, to be honest. That's what I mean. There's just not really anywhere to go from him at the moment that's going to be better. So I'm fine with Fernandes, I think, this week. The 2 City guys, Foden and Reinders. So it was at this point, I obviously wildcarded in Gameweek 6. It was at this point that I would kind of reassess Foden and see whether I needed to sell him if he got bad minutes. He has got brilliant minutes since then. He's looked fantastic in the games as well. So at the moment, I'm pretty happy to keep him. Everton at home is a good fixture. I don't see their defence as a particularly great defence. I see no reason for me to be getting rid of Foden at the moment. Again, I was going to be looking at potentially going to Palmer, but he doesn't seem to be fit or anywhere near fit. If you saw the picture or the video that Sky Sports posted, I believe it was, where Hato came bounding into Palmer. It really didn't look good, Palmer's knee. He completely grimaced when Hato came into him. So I don't think Palmer looks like he's going to be touching the pitch anytime soon. So I'm kind of fine with keeping Foden, I think. And Reinders, I'm just not selling Reinders. There's no world where there's a better option than Reinders at the moment. At his price and the minutes he's getting, he did come off a little bit early today against Brentford, but he is still just a fantastic option at his price. And then we go on to the forwards. This is where there are problems potentially. So Haaland will be my captain against Everton at home. No problems there. It's João Pedro and Gyökeres that are potential problems. Now, João Pedro, I'm actually completely fine with keeping him. A lot of people will want to sell him because he's blanked in quite a few games recently, and he hasn't even had a shot in most games recently. However, Chelsea's fixtures get really good, and I think going forward they don't have any problems when they keep 11 men on the pitch. The last couple games before the most recent one, they've had a player sent off, and João Pedro can't do anything at that point. I mean, in one of them, Maresca even took off all of the other forwards, so he could have done nothing. But in the most recent game, yeah, it wasn't great against Liverpool, but the fixtures just are pretty good. It's Sunderland soon. I think it's Sunderland next week, in fact. Nottingham Forest looks a great fixture at the moment as well, so I just won't be selling him. The only place potentially to go to is maybe Mateta. He's looked a bit off it at the moment. And then it's just budget options or Voltemada. I do like Voltemada. I do think he's a very good option, but I just don't think it's worth a transfer to get rid of one of these guys. Gyökeres, again, if I was on wildcard this week, then I would be picking Saka over Gyökeres, but I don't think there's enough of a gap between these two, Saka and Gyökeres, that it's worth making two transfers. That would probably look like Gyökeres and either Fernandes or Foden to Saka and don't even know who I'd go, but probably Voltemada, I guess, or a more budget option like Thiago or something like that, DCL. There just isn't, I just don't think that's worth 2 free transfers personally, given that I've only got 2 free transfers as well. I don't want to use both of them. I think I'm kind of happy with where my team's at. I'm sure the problems will come in the coming weeks. For example, Foden, I still may have to move him on at some point soon. But for now, I think I'm just going to roll my transfer. You guys let me know if you think there's something I should be doing. A lot of you will maybe think that I should be doing Gyökeres to Voltemada and probably getting rid of Fernandes for Saka at that point as well, or Sarr or something. But I just don't think it's worth the transfers. Like I said, I think if I was the wild card, I would probably have it that way round instead. I just don't think it's worth the transfers. But yeah, let me know if you think there's something I should be doing, or if there's something that you've got a question about in your team. Drop it in the comments. But for now, that is all. Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe. 83% of you are not subscribed that watch these videos, so please hit the button, it really helps. But I'll see you in the next one.